That's a lot of three-pointed stars. You're looking at the new 2027 Mercedes-Benz GLE. This is the model right in that sweet spot in the middle of the Benz lineup between the more affordable GLC and the flagship GLS, and it's an important one for the brand. This is their best seller in the United States. For 2027, we have some pretty big changes, from new styling to updated interior tech and new powertrains. But I'm curious, have these changes really enhanced the GLE, or are they mostly gimmicks? Let's find out. We're Edmunds, and we test hundreds of cars each year on the road and at our private track, so you get the most trusted reviews. If you want to know which car, truck, or SUV is the best, then stick with us. Overall, the GLE's shape is pretty much the same. This is just a mid-cycle facelift, but there are some big detail changes. And the first thing you're gonna notice here is the amount of three-pointed stars on this front end. They're filling the grille, they're filling the headlights. Even this little trim piece on the side here is filled with three-pointed stars. Now, is that kind of a lot? Absolutely. But if your goal is to really broadcast to the world that you're driving a Mercedes-Benz, well, this accomplishes that through and through. One thing I really don't like about this front end though is the black plastic surround on the grille. Mercedes is incorporating this into pretty much every new product it's launching, and the point of it is to connect the headlights to the grille itself and make it seem like more one flowing, seamless unit. But in reality, it doesn't really have that effect. It just looks a bit disjointed, and it really breaks up nice paint colors like this light blue. Now, along the side, not much has changed, and that's okay. There are a couple new wheel designs to choose from. And then around the back, we see some bigger styling changes. Again, three-pointed stars in the lights on either side. And the big thing here is this new bar that connects the two taillights to make it look more like a light bar. I'm not a huge fan of this for a few reasons. Number one, I think that the old body color panel here was a cleaner look, just felt a bit more elegant. This is kind of jarring, especially again against the light paint color. And of course, if you prefer more of the slope back look of the GLE Coupe, that is still available, albeit with a bit fewer changes at the rear. The front looks the same as the SUV, but we don't have that chunky rear light bar-esque feature on the GLE Coupe. It's a cleaner design, looks pretty good. We're now here with the AMG GLE 53 Hybrid, and as you can see, a lot of the same new styling features that you find on the standard GLE are present here as well. The stars and the headlights, but you do get, of course, your requisite AMG grille with these big vertical slats and some extra cooling as well for that more powerful powertrain. Speaking of powertrains, this thing now has a 577 horsepower, 3-liter turbocharged inline-6 paired with a plug-in hybrid system. That's a big increase over the prior model, and it's dropped the 0 to 60 time about a half a second to 4.4 seconds per Mercedes' own claims. Around the back, again, it's pretty much the same story as standard GLE, but the AMG is distinguished by these 4-round exhaust tips here at the bottom, and of course the AMG badging. And because this is now a plug-in hybrid, the lettering for GLE 53 is now outlined in red, which is not my favorite thing in the world, but fortunately, all this lettering is actually removable from the factory, which is definitely something that I would recommend doing if you want to go a little bit more subtle and elegant with it. And of course, you have your AMG specific forged rims. These are just like what they were before. They're a beautiful looking wheel, and they have red brake calipers here on this model. Those are optional. Silver calipers are standard, and black ones are newly available. All this screen comes standard. Has Mercedes gone too far? The biggest differences in the new GLE are found inside. As you can see, we have a lot of screen up here. The GLE now comes standard with Mercedes Superscreen system powered by their new MBUX operating system. That's a much more advanced operating system than what we've had in previous GLE models. It can be updated over the air, and it controls not only your infotainment, but pretty much everything in the vehicle itself. It's actually less advanced, this screen, than what you're gonna find in the cheaper GLC or even the CLA. As you can see, there's a lot of bezel between these screens. It's not really one seamless unit, despite being behind the same pane of glass. It's still a nice integration though. I actually prefer this setup to what we find in the new S-Class. It feels a bit less overwhelming. I still think it's kind of overkill. Passenger screen is not really necessary, but I appreciate that we have a better combination of screen, real physical trim. This carbon fiber in the AMG looks really nice. and also physical controls. In other Benz models, these are just like haptic buttons that you press. These are real actual buttons and switches and dials, and it feels way better to touch, it looks better, and it's a lot easier to use. And that last part is really important. Speaking of physical controls, Mercedes has brought back the physical volume dial and rocker switch here on the steering wheel. They listen to customer feedback, and I'm so glad to see that. It feels a lot better to use, and it's just easier as well. You'll also notice new round air vents on either side of this Superscreen display. It looks nice. Mercedes does a really nice job with actually making something that's pretty mundane in most vehicles, kind of an art piece here in the GLE, and there's illumination around them as well. These are sport seats here in the AMG GLE 53, a little on the firmer side, but overall a nice place to spend some time, especially if you have these cushy little pillows for your head. As for what hasn't changed, there's still a solid amount of interior storage up front here in the GLE. We've got this binnacle right here where your cup holders are, wireless phone charger, USB-C ports, 2 of them. We've also got a center console. It's not huge, but it's deep enough to fit some smaller items. And of course, decent door pocket storage as well. Mercedes has also seriously upgraded the GLE's driver assist technology. There's now 5 radars, 12 ultrasonic sensors, and 10 cameras on the exterior of the vehicle that allow the GLE to be capable of up to level 2++ driving. That means from point A to point B and even parking, the GLE can effectively drive itself there, but you still do have to be alert and keep your hands on the wheel at all times. That package is available as either an outright purchase or a subscription model as well. And of course, there are other levels of driver assist available, like your standard adaptive cruise control and just lesser driver assist functionalities. And of course, this being the AMG GLE 53, we'd be remiss to not take a listen to that sweet inline 6 exhaust note. Check it out. And if you want to read up on every detail of the GLE that we can't quite cover here, or you just want to stay up to date on the latest news and releases, head on over to edmunds.com/car-news. Now, for as much as changed in the front of the GLE, the back seat is pretty much the same deal, and honestly, that's okay. This is a really nice place to be. I'm 5'11" here, and I have plenty of knee room and leg room. Seats are comfortable. They're power operated in this AMG model. They move forward and aft. They recline. It's nice. And there's also 2 USB-C charge ports down here in the center console at the back, air vents in the center console as well as on the sides here. I would happily do a road trip in the back of this thing. Now, should you need to install a car seat, Mercedes makes it pretty easy for you. We have 4 latch anchors here in the back seat, 2 on this one and 2 over here. Plus, there are 3 top tethers on the seat back. Now, to access that, you either have to go through the cargo area and remove the cargo cover, or Mercedes actually makes it a little bit easier for you. You just touch this button on either side and the back seat will move forward, and you can actually reach that tether a lot easier this way. And since the GLE has such a roomy cabin overall, the 2 front passengers actually shouldn't have to adjust their seating positions at all, even to accommodate a rear-facing car seat, because there's just that much space back here. Let's talk cargo space. It's pretty solid here in the GLE. We have about 31.5 cubic feet of room here behind the second row seats, and that's about 50% more than what you're gonna find in an equivalent BMW X5 plug-in hybrid or Porsche Cayenne plug-in hybrid. Additionally, it's easy to fold down the second row with these 2 switches right here. Again, they're powered in this GLE 53 AMG model. And if you need to put something heavy in the trunk, this liftover height is really not bad for a midsize luxury SUV. And you can actually lower it further with this little switch down here that can drop the rear suspension an inch or 2. Something you won't find in the plug-in hybrid GLE models, that's the GLE 500e and this AMG GLE 53, is underfloor storage in the cargo area. That's where the big old battery pack lives. In the regular GLE models, you do have some storage back here, but here, none to be found. As I mentioned earlier, there are some powertrain updates in the GLE lineup for 2027. The big news here is the GLE 500e. This is the plug-in hybrid model of the lineup, formerly called the 450e. But because it's now powered by an inline 6, plug-in hybrid system instead of an inline-4 plug-in hybrid system, it's got that new nomenclature. It also makes more power. Plus, Mercedes claims it'll still do 50 plus miles of electric driving only, which is a really solid figure for this segment. We actually saw 59 miles in our testing of the previous GLE 450e. Finally, the AMG GLE 53 hybrid. Yes, it's now a hybrid. While the last model was gas only in the US, this new one is now, again, a plug-in hybrid. It makes 577 horsepower and 553 pound-feet of torque. Those are increases of 148 horsepower and 140 pound-feet of torque. That's a big difference, and Mercedes says it shaves about a half a second off the 0 to 60 time. Before we get into pricing and final thoughts, if you enjoyed this video, or if there's anything you think we missed, or if you have any ideas for future videos, be sure to drop them down in the comments. We really do read them all. And if you found this video helpful in any way, or if you just like hearing us talk, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. It really does go a long way. All right, let's get into pricing. Mercedes hasn't actually released full pricing details yet, but we do know a couple things. The last GLE started at around $63,000 for a base rear-wheel drive GLE 350. However, Mercedes says that the GLE 350 rear-wheel drive is not going to be available at the launch of the updated GLE, so we're going to estimate that pricing for an all-wheel drive GLE 350 comes in at around $70,000 or a bit less. We recommend you take a look at the GLE 450 trim. It hits a nice sweet spot in the lineup between the base GLE 350 and the more powerful GLE 580 with that V8 engine. Or if you'd like a plug-in hybrid, the GLE 500e seems like it'll be a really capable system. As for availability, expect the GLE to launch in dealers this fall. If you're looking for a quiet, cushy, luxury SUV and you're okay with missing out on some of the latest and greatest tech that you might find in the CLA EV or the GLC EV, the GLE is a really compelling product with a solid suite of powertrains available too. We're looking forward to getting this thing into comparisons with cars like the Range Rover Sport, the BMW X5, and the Porsche Cayenne. And of course, maybe we'll even find an AMG on the U-Drag circuit. Do you think these changes have actually enhanced the GLE, or would you rather have the prior model without that big super screen up front? Tell us down in the comments, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button.